Hi, everybody, and welcome to my class website. In order to do our dream project, I decided to use a unit that I've already taught before for sophomores. And so I kind of had a bare bones already on here, um, but I decided I really needed to revamp things. So I have my homepage here, and you can check that out if you want. The link will be near this page, and already the website's trying to goof for me. Anyway, if you go to Fall English 2 and you scroll down to Mythology, now English 2 is sophomores, and Mythology is sort of our last unit of the year before we're done for the first semester. And I love teaching mythology, but I usually end up running out of time, which is kind of sad because, like I said, it's one of my favorite things to teach. So I kind of created this section of pages that leads my students through a journey of actually experiencing different parts of mythology. They no longer get um, any early world civilizations anymore because in high school they focus more on like World War One and Two, and they go um, in a different direction, so they don't go into mythology at all. And so that's kind of why it's fun for the English teachers to actually teach a little bit of history. So one of the first things I put on here is a blabberize of Athena. Um, and we read the Odyssey in this unit, and Athena is Odysseus's patron goddess. So she's like the goddess of wisdom, and she helps Odysseus on his travels home. I also like using trading cards or flashcards as information gathering cards, so students have a new way of taking notes. Our district has a school policy of way of taking notes that students can use as well, but I liked using this because the students actually create the cards and they can flip through them and actually study from them. So it's not like, okay, another piece of paper I have to keep a hold of. It's on their iPad, they can access it anytime. Um, and then like my blabberized videos sort of lead my students through all my web pages. She leaves little clues and hints, and I sound terrible when I have it on here, but like I'll let you listen to a little bit here.
So now you've realized why Zeus was so angry with Prometheus. It doesn't take a genius to realize that fire is dangerous.
So a little bit of explanation about Prometheus. We read Frankenstein as our horror unit, and Prometheus connects to Frankenstein because Mary Shelley called Frankenstein her modern day Prometheus. So I had the students do like a connection between mythology and horror, which was kind of cool. And my students are just like, oh wow, that's almost the same story, which is kind of what we were after. And then as you continue to scroll down this page, we lead into the Greek mythology introduction. And I have to shove a lot of information at my students, and it seems like it's information overload for them. So I tried to find some cool videos and stuff that they could learn as like a mini homework assignment that wouldn't take them very long. And I assigned this Ed puzzle as a homework assignment for my sophomore students. And most of my kids, when I got feedback, said it only took them 10 minutes and they thought it was really easy, which I love because getting them to do homework, if I do it in baby steps and it's fun, then I might be able to add length later next semester. We'll see. Um, so this Greek God video came from history.com, and then I added 5 questions about it to see if kids were paying attention and learning a little bit about it. And then we had to do our normal PowerPoint, and then I keep going with the theme of the trading cards. And it's hard to show an actual example on my website because the trading card app doesn't allow me to take screenshots of them. I'm still trying to figure out how I can do that without just having my kids do it in class. Because ideally, I'd like them to actually do this at home and say, okay, you can start it in class, but finish it up at home. And then we go to the next page. There are several pages that go with the hero's journey, because that's our big thing here is getting students to understand that this is a genre of literature. The hero's journey keeps popping up in modern culture, and so we actually do an activity about the hero's journey. So we talk about what it means to be a hero, and we talk about what the hero journey even means. Um, and again, we have Athena guiding us through parts of this. I have a Prezi on here um, that has a couple modern examples like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars is a huge one, Any of those movies you could sit and watch and go, okay, yep, that's when the hero is called to the adventure, and he goes, nope, I'm not, I'm normal, nothing special about me. And then they end up getting called to the adventure anyway. They have a mentor teacher, they get a talisman or a weapon, and so on and so forth. If you've never explored it, definitely go to the graphic organizer here because you can actually look at the hero's journey and go, huh, I can find several modern examples. Which leads me into my infographic section for students, which is what my students are currently working on. Come on, Paige. It's thinking. Um, as you know, we're making our own infographics for our final week here, and my students are actually doing one with their own modern hero. So what I have them do is I had them partner up and they created their own example of the hero's journey using a popular movie or story from modern day media. And they fill out the graphic organizer and they had to show it to me before actually starting their infographic because I had a lot of questions. The kids were still kind of stuck on like, what does it mean? Like they're returning. Well, is the hero dead or is it the evil that's returning? Who's returning? And questions like that you get. Um, and so then I have like a screencast of how to make an infographic, which one to use, because I wanted them to use one that's like a timeline so they can go, okay, step one is here and lead into it. And they're adding pictures and GIFs, and YouTube is blocked at school, so they can't exactly use YouTube as much as I would like them to have a video clip. But we're learning about how to add multimedia to different presentations. And it's just a different way of presenting information. And it's similar to the graphic organizer, so it's not complicated. I just want them to learn the new tool because they always want to go back and just do a keynote or present or PowerPoint. And it's just like there's other presentation tools out there, and I want my kids to be allowed to explore that. And it helps that they have their own iPads to the school, and I borrowed the laptop cart, so because infographics really don't work well on iPads. So we talk about what's a good infographic. I give them some examples, and then I have them kind of create their own, which is what they're currently working on. It's taken longer than I thought, but in that case, it's okay because they are learning a new skill. And then we move on to like figuring out the Trojan War era because that explains a lot of what happens to Odysseus, our main character. And so then I end up having Athena again, and we have like this little overview of the Trojan War. Someone was cool enough to create a Powtoons video, so I was going to actually do that myself, and then I found one, and why reinvent the wheel if you don't have to? So this page is actually really short, but it's still very necessary information for the kids to understand. This is what Troy was over, because essentially that's the entire Iliad, which was 10 years, and we explained why the war takes 10 years. And then we actually get into our journey beginning. And I used ThingLink to create this really cool interactive map, which I'm super excited about showing my kids. We have like part one here is talk about Troy again and different things, and you can go to different websites, of course. And it also helps the students understand, like, seriously, how do you end up this far north? Why it took him 10 years to get home. Um, and he didn't really want to go to war anyway because he just had a newborn son, and then he's stuck 10 years fighting a war, and then it takes him another 10 years to get back. So his son's 20 years old by the time he sees him again, which is kind of cool. And I also make references to like the Lotus Eaters shows up in Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. The kids all know that story, so they think that's kind of cool. Um, and then I have them do a Flipgrid link or post because I want them to have a chance to do video responses, but it's also for the kids who don't actually like talking in class and giving their opinion. I have a lot of shy kids, and this way they can actually tour, or not tour, but like actually give their opinions on things and not feel like they're getting called out in the middle of this. And I'm running out of time actually, but I also have the Odyssey reading itself. I learned how to animate my GIFs, which are kind of cool. And we have the trading cards again, and I actually managed to split the Odyssey into 4 different parts because I found someone else's version on here. And then I have ending things. The hardest part for me for this is actually figuring out the timeline. And I was also like, this unit is huge. There's so much front loading of information I had to do that it was hard to figure out what was super important and what I could use new media text and tools to enhance. I have a lot of low level readers, so they don't like to read. So I had to make fun, interesting assignments that would actually get them to learn without realizing they're learning. They're loving using the infographic right now because they're talking about Spider-Man or Batman or the Lion King. And so my kids are really into it because it's an example that they know really well. And all they're doing is applying what they learned to something they already know. So to them, it's easy, but they're still learning, which is something that I really strive to do. So thanks for checking out my project. I'm about a minute over, but I'm a teacher. I like to talk. So hopefully I get to hear from you later this week. Bye.